Great to have your company once again on the Marketplace, our special roundtable episode where we dive into each and every team. We're less than, or the best part of 2 months away from the start of NBL 24. The Blitz still to come in early September, but a lot of the rosters are now assembled and we're going to take a good look at them today. Andrew Gaze, Liam Santamaria, Simon Mitchell and Jack Heverin with you once again. I think it's appropriate here, Drewy, that we start with the Perth Wildcats and John Riley's second season in charge of this group. There was a lot of angst with the Red Army early in the season. They righted the ship towards the back end of the season and they've made some pretty interesting changes heading into NBL 24.
Well, they have, and I guess one of the biggest signings is Keanu Pinder, who had an outstanding time with the Cairns Taipans. He went from a situation, the Adelaide 36ers, where... I don't know if he had too many other options left there for him. And based on some of his play, understandably why he didn't have too many options. But he found his way. He's become a high-profile player, a high-impact player, and he's one of the standouts. And of course, whenever your starting point is Bryce Cotton, you are starting from a very, very solid base. So the Webster brothers coming back, I think that's an interesting one for me to have them both back. Wasn't sure. I thought it worked out well, but it was kind of makeshift because of the timing of when they were able to get together. Aquera, who has been showing great signs, his development and where he at. Big guy, very good athlete, and his shot is developing. So there is, to me, the Perth Wildcats again put themselves in a situation where they are a championship contender, and it's good, right? From 1 through 12, they've got players there that you can find upside in, that you can see how they can be solid contributors, and there may be more to come with a couple of other pieces as well. So they are a really good team. I like what they've done in the off-season. It remains to be seen if John really can get them all on the same page and get them working together.
These are the rosters as they stand today at time of recording. Liam, we are hearing that there's still a little bit of shopping going on from Danny Mills, potentially to a couple of spots.
Yeah, well, they're still in the market for a couple of imports. So a couple of guys, they're going to play big minutes, play important roles within this team. So there's maybe a little bit that's similar to Adelaide for me with this group, where it's a bit hard to fully evaluate what this team is going to be, whether I would put them in that championship kind of contender type category yet. I feel like I can't go there.
Hang on. If the rumours, which we don't know.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Don't know the rumours.
Okay.
No, I'm just what other people are saying.
Oh, who are they saying?
Well, if Duop Reith steps into this team.
What? Whoa, big name.
I beg yours.
Well, that's what I've heard. Now, if he steps into this team, that's now how you work in with Pinder. There's some coaching issues you've got to address.
Good issues to have, Drew.
But they're nice issues to have.
Wow.
So
have you got another one?
Oh, well, no, not none that I don't want to embarrass myself, but you hear little bits and pieces about.
Wow, Duop Reith.
Now,
Now, listen, if Duop Reith comes in, now we can start to talk about those sorts of things because he would be an outstanding signing. But as the roster sits right now, a starting small forward, a starting power forward are still to come into the mix.
Is Brady Manning, have they made a decision? Is he 100% out?
He's signed.
He's signed.
He's not coming back?
Not coming back. Do you going to miss him?
I think that he was a player that had issues at one end of the floor that you can almost not turn a blind eye to, but you can find ways to try and camouflage those issues because what he could do at the other end of the floor. And in our league, positionally what he can do, the way he can shoot the ball, I thought he was one that would be worth persevering with.
See, the Wildcats last season were first in the league in offensive efficiency and dead last defensively.
And he was a big part of that.
And he was a big part of it. And I don't think as a high minutes, big role import, you can bring in a guy that's like a pick-on guy. A guy that in the locker room pre-game down for the away team, they're saying, listen, you go at him every time you get a chance.
Depends on what sort of backup you got behind him, though.
Well, true.
You can camouflage some people if you've got the right pieces
True.
around them.
And maybe in Keanu with Alex Sarr and his rim protection off the bench, you've got some of that. I think they're going to be better. Like Simon was saying with Adelaide, I think the move of Robert Franks leaving is better for them long term. I think the same exists here with Brady Manick leaving the Wildcats. And then the other part for me is Keanu Pinder, who was an MVP candidate last year before he got injured, all league, back-to-back most improved player. Really excelled with Adam Ford. He just unlocked the potential for Keanu Pinder. What does that look like elsewhere? It doesn't always go well. You know, I think back to a guy like Todd Blanchfield, who was blowing up at Townsville under Sean Dennis. It was all looking fantastic. He made a move. He took some cash. He went and played with you guys in Melbourne United. He sat in a corner, and it wasn't quite as good. And there's other examples. Now, sometimes a guy just keeps going up. Let's see if that happens here with Keanu Pinder.
What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, I agree with Liam there. Geez, Duop Reith's a big name. I don't know if those rumours are of any repute, but that is.
I'd put him from people that I wouldn't say.
Was this at 2 in the morning?
Huh?
Was this out the front of a kebab stand at 2 in the morning?
No, not that bad.
Okay.
Not that
Joe
bad.
Connolly
but
style?
not highly advanced from there, though, I
Okay.
would say. So,
No offense
That's
to
where
the
they
people.
started, and they drifted down to a 9 a.m. coffee.
well, if they get it wrong, they'll go into that category.
Okay.
If they get it wrong. But
Real passing the buck sort of style going on here. Just
No, but that's something that I'd heard, and I thought, geez, that would be an unbelievable get.
Yeah.
If Keanu Pinder got injured between now and the start of the season,
Oh, geez, don't say it.
have they got enough depth at the 4 and 5 spot?
They've got a lot of depth, but no, their rebounding outside of Pinder is atrocious right now. Like, they were the worst rebounding team amongst the playoff teams last year. They needed to fix that. I don't know on what they've got right now with Wagstaff, Harris, Aquera at the 4. Liam intimated there may be an import 4 coming in. I think they need more help on the boards. From what I see, we're not going to ask a young fella in SAR to come in and say, go sweep the boards. That's going to be too much. It's going to be a lot of responsibility on Pinder. And if you're saying he's not going to be there, then, geez, I don't know where that's coming from. Because right now I look at it, it's very similar in the makeup to last year, minus some rebounding. And it was already a place where I think they needed to improve.
Yeah, those pieces, whether they're imports or boomers or types of things like this, we don't know. But
we
pieces,
do know that those characteristics are being sought.
for sure, and so they should be,
and
because they need to get better defensively. They need to get better on the boards. So those two pieces, I think, are going to be massive for this group.
Which is where I agree with Liam as well, with the Brady Manic. You move on from him and go get someone who's more proficient in those areas of the game, which maybe aren't quite where he gets paid for.
Just one on the Websters, and we're not being critical of Perth here. We're just observing their depth chart as it stands right at this very moment. There has been some criticism in the past that perhaps the ball doesn't move around as much when Corey and Ty are on the same team. Is that fair? And B, can that happen in a team that's got Bryce Cotton?
Well, Bryce Cotton needs to see the ball. There's no doubt about that. And I thought Corey Webster was really good for the Wildcats last season.
When they made their surge, it was on the back of him finding a little form, wasn't it?
It was on the back of the breakers, putting some billboards up and then really firing Corey Webster up, and he went from strength to strength. Ty Webster came in mid-season. It was like stepping onto a moving treadmill. That's always hard to do.
Yep.
So I think he's a high-level guy, and I'm here for it. If you can get a local at that type of level, especially at the point guard spot, who you feel like can perform at an international type of level like Ty Webster can, then I'm here for you kind of banking that in. So I'm comfortable with it. Ty Webster at the 1, Bryce Cotton at the 2. Let's see what that 3 and 4 pans out to be.
Luke Travers probably should be mentioned at this stage, just that he will be missed. And another name that I'm going to throw out there, and we're going to. This is a throwback to the past now. Like, this is no longer your mother's Perth Wildcats. Mitch Norton has exited the building. Luke Travers has exited the building. There's outside of Bryce, there's no connection to the championship era.
Jesse says hello.
Oh, well, yeah, no, Jesse, I'm sorry, but he's probably at the back end of a career.
He's won 6 of them.
Yeah, no, he's just snuck a few in there. But I think Mitch Norton...
And he helped you out with the greatest layup miss in the history
Well,
of the game.
yeah.
Remember that one?
That's all right.
I'm sure Jesse doesn't want us talking about that one.
But, no, look, Mitch Norton, we saw in the playing game last year when he came to play and was given an opportunity and just how important he could be for that team. The toughness, the doggedness, which I think, we may be referring to that we don't see a lot of and I think he'll be missed. I think he's going to do wonderful things in his next team, but I think that Perth will miss him. But I'm hearing wonderful things about the young Ben Henschel, that maybe, just maybe, we might have a superstar of the future on their roster.
It's going to take a little while with Ben Henschel.
We'll give him a little time.
Yeah.
He's got 6
Including
weeks.
get his driver's license, get out of school, all those things first. But
Yeah. They have traded in the Danny Mills era. They've traded toughness for talent. And as you say, like the Perth Wildcats have built their success over a long period of time on toughness, first and foremost. We are big, we're strong, we're going to push you around, we're going to dominate you on the glass. And, you're going to really feel it when you play against the Wildcats. This is a completely different style and approach, but they need to tap back into that a little bit with these next couple of signings.
I think that's a very, very fair call. To the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, Simon, you get to look from the outside now at the Phoenix rather than building this roster. You can sit here with us where it's nice and easy and we're never wrong. And you can tell us what you think of this Phoenix roster as it stands right now with the inclusion of Gary Brown, which has been announced as we go to air today.
Well, yeah, I mean, the major stickling point, I think, for most people is just going to be Ryan Brockhoff and his absence from the team and how that affects it. We've seen over the last couple of years in his absence that the team struggled. And when he was on the floor, the team was, bordering on elite. So it's going to be a huge loss. How they replace him? Well, I don't think they can. They've obviously gone with Matt Kenyon, who's come into the team, and hoping he can stay healthy, he'll bring a different dimension.
Yep.
So his defensive tenacity, his just roll the sleeves up way of playing the game is something that I think this team can really benefit from. But geez, a lot's riding on this next import signing at the shooting guard spot, who's going to have to shoot the ball very well, because we were, and I say we as in from last season, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, were not a good shooting team last year. We had to redirect how we went about things during the course of preseason, and I mean it was really hard to sort of tell because we were wielding we're probably playing 4 starters down for most of preseason. But we got an inkling that we weren't going to be the greatest shooting team and became more of a post-up team and more of a slashing team and trying to get to the line. Now, we're able to still tick it over at the offensive end, even though we changed the way we played. But looking at this team, you've got Creaky and Williams, who they need a bit of space to play in. Right now, there's not a lot of space being provided for some of those players. So this shooting guard that they've got to bring in needs to be shooting the ball well.
If you were still there, working with Tommy over the course of this off-season, would you have brought back Gary Brown?
I think it depends on the market. Like he's been signed now, which makes me think that maybe there was a little shopping going on. So, yeah, I think it all comes down to what your spend is, how much you've got to put into that position, and who are available. What I do like about Gary Brown is that he had his worst shooting season of his career last year. And I say that I do like it from the sense that it's more of the, you'd expect better. He provided better with in Puerto Rico this off-season.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a history of being better from behind the arc and from deep in Europe. And I think you'll see a better player in year 2 and hopefully a healthy player in year 2.
Creek, Williams, Vague, Gack, and then the DPs, Rapp and Rossetto, like they're big. That's certainly if you look at the 4 and the 5 spot, Drewy, that they're not going to want for much there, are they?
No, that's right. I think this next guy needs to be really, really good. If this next guy they sign, this next import, is a solid player, they're going to need more than a solid player. I think Gary Brown is a really good player, but if you were asking me the same question as Simon, and maybe they did do this, I'm seeing if I can get something better first before. Now, no, I think he's really good, and he knows the league, and he had clearly, from what you're saying, Simon, his history is he's better a shooter than what he demonstrated throughout the course of last season. But yeah, I think with that said, and saying, well, how are you going to be significantly better than what you were last season? It comes in that next guy. He's that Ryan Brockhoff or better than what you need for there. Matt Kenyon, nice, really nice. Good addition, but not that I don't know if he's going to move the dial as much as what they probably needed to do that. And if not for some really unfortunate injuries, now everyone can say that who knows what it could have been with last season.
Yeah, for sure.
But Foxwell's been really good in the off-season. He had some big moments for you, Simon, last season, but he's still a work in progress. Ben Eyre comes with a bit of experience playing for Sandringham in the NBL 1, taking 20, 25 shots a game and getting them up and playing well. And when he's given that license, but he's not going to have the same license in there. His role with this team is not going to be that. So how you incorporate that into it. And Reece Vague, he can shoot it. We saw what he did playing with the Australian team in a lot of those games. He comes in, stretch guy that's out there, but you've just been in Japan. It's not the NBL. It's not that at all. So how he fits in, this is another one you've got question marks around. But to me, the biggest issue is that I start to lose a little bit of confidence if this next guy they sign is not genuine.
Is there a case that maybe we're a little over familiar with when you start returning players as well? Like Alan Williams was pretty darn good last year.
Yeah, right.
Mitch Creek's not a bad place. No,
but is he going to be? Are they going to be much better? That's what I'm saying.
I think Alan Williams possibly can be. I think last year he maybe could have been in better shape coming into the season. He had his issues with the referees early, where he's finding himself in foul trouble. He solved that mystery by the end of the season. He became a more efficient player as the season went on. Got himself to the free throw line. Was finishing at the free throw line. Wasn't doing that early in the year. I'm feeling like. And with the addition of Gorjak Gak, now they've got a bit more athleticism up front. He's a maybe not a rim protector per se. You'd like to think that he can do that, but certainly from an offensive standpoint, you can throw it to him upstairs and let him go get it. So they've brought a little bit of a different dimension there, which should be exciting. Owen Foxwell, I think Brian Gorgian's christened him for the Boomers team. Is that correct? A future Boomers team? I thought I read something.
Right?
No, I think I may have just enhanced that a little bit, but I think
a few liberties.
I think Brian Gorgian did say that he said that he has the potential.
Wow.
To be on a Boomers squad. Now, I'm not sure which tournament that's for, but look, I'm very high on Owen Foxwell. I think the kid's got some defensive capabilities that are special, and I'm thinking. With the moving on from Kyle Adam, Drew was talking about Ben Eyre. Well, he'll get his shots up because Kyle's shots won't be there this year. And I think Ben will come in and fill a similar role with a little bit of juice off the bench there. But Owen Foxwell's development, I think, is going to be key to this team as well. I mean, he can defend it on the ball at a very high, very, very high level. Off the ball is where he's got to make his progression because he's still a young kid and he still makes young kid mistakes. But very, very high on Foxwell, and he has had a wonderful season for the playoff bound or the playoff contending Perth Wildcats.
Keep an eye out too for his younger brother. Against him in the youth league,
playing for the mighty Sandringham Sabres.
That's right, and he's got a lot of upside as well. So Owen better be careful. He better keep improving because the young brother is coming along.
Christmas could be interesting in the backyard at the Foxwell family with a bit of one-on-one.
Just quickly before we move off the Phoenix, the big thing for these guys is a need to improve defensively. And we've talked about this, and Simon might get a bit hot under the collar if we go too deep in the talk about the defense. But this group, since they've come into the mix, and there's been different reasons with injuries and the like, and you can really crunch those numbers, but they've generally been top 4 in the league in offensive efficiency and bottom 4 in the league or thereabouts defensively. And so when we talked about Perth in these last couple of years with their roster build, giving up some toughness for some talent, I feel like what they've tried to do here, particularly with the signing of Matt Kenyon, is the opposite. Is to say we want that guy that other teams have had in their starting lineups over recent years. Sam McDaniel as a championship starter for Melbourne United. Wani Swakala-Bullock as a championship starter for the Sydney Kings. A guy that, if he can knock down shots, that's going to be great, but he's going to really bring some toughness and some grunt. Gorjak Gak, I think, is going to help in that regard as well. So you're right, that shooting guard spot's going to be important, but them improving defensively and Matt Kenyon and the role he's going to play in that regard, I think is going to be the barometer for how this team goes this season.
To the Cairns Taipans and Adam Ford, who is the reigning coach of the year here in the Hungry Jacks NBL, to borrow the title of a Coldplay song, this could be the adventure of a lifetime for the Taipans. We've got no idea what this is going to look like. They are very young. They are very talented. Who wants to go first on the Taipans?
I can't follow up after a Coldplay reference. I'll let someone else go.
Well, I think
That's because you're a heavy metal head.
Adam Ford is probably asking that question at the start of pre-season because there's position battles left and right when you look at this depth chart. Who wants to go first? Who wants to win themselves a starting lineup spot? Because Taron Armstrong, Pat Miller at the point guard spot, those battles on a daily basis are going to be fun. To Jim McCall, Bull Quoll, Bobby Clintman is going to, I think, over the course of this season say, hey, listen, like I'd like to play in that starting group. Maybe I'm on the floor with Sam Wardenberg and we go super big because, yeah, he's 6'10", Bobby Clintman, but he's a wing. He's a small forward, power forward who likes to play facing the basket. And Sam Menenga, I think, is a guy a little bit like a Lachlan Albrick who is maybe a little under-known and underappreciated by the general fan, who's going to come in as a rookie and I think do some good things at this level. And there's another, I'm pretty sure there'll be another piece to come here. Maybe they've got a third import to sign, and I suspect that'll be somewhere there in the front court. Maybe another big body to pair with Sam Menenga and a Calder Gack at the 5 spot. Man, they've got a lot of fun pieces. They're going to be young, athletic, long, fast, and very fun to watch.
Can you see a world where this is Taron Armstrong's opportunity at the point guard slot? Like it's a big responsibility on a young man. Can you see it?
No, I think he will. I think he'll be the day one point guard. Having said that, Patrick Miller is an absolute bulldog. He is going to give him no remorse at practice. There's absolutely going to be some clashes there. And Patrick Miller...
You guys looked at him, right?
Oh, yeah, we looked at him really closely for a couple of times. We looked at him back at Melbourne United days. We had a pretty good look at him maybe 2 years ago at Southeast. Now, the knock that we had on him at Southeast was he didn't shoot the 3-ball particularly well. He very much liked to shoot it off the dribble in long 2 situation, which wasn't the sexiest thing a coach likes. However, having said that, he's actually become a little bit more efficient from behind the arc the last 2 years and last 2 seasons. So look forward to seeing him pinging him from downtown because if he was the player he was 2 years ago, and he missed a season. And I can't remember exactly what the injury was, but he was out with a serious injury that missed, I think, close to 12 months. If you had him and Tajir McCall in the backcourt, you'd be thinking, well, maybe this isn't the shooting that you need to compete in the NBL level. But he's improved upon that. You've got Jonah Antonio who's a flamethrower. Tajir just can get himself to the rack and get himself to the line. Bull Quoll, going to be a little expected of that man this year. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to 40's antics on the sideline with this team because there's a lot to be excited about and there's going to be some fun had. Now, will they be as successful as last year? Geez, Pinder. We saw that they could play without him. Mm-hmm. With Wardenberg shifting to the 5 at times. We saw that. But DJ Hogue is going to be a very big loss for this team.
They're young, Drewy. How important is, for a young group, how important is the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season going to be, not only in terms of establishing their brand and what they want to be, but just for momentum and that kind of that nourishment of winning a few games early on?
Yeah, it's important whether you're young or old. I think that when you're striving to stay competitive in this league, it's not easy. And I think what Adam Ford has done is put together a group which I guess his anticipation is to be able to mould into the way in which he wants to play, his style. So he's recruited around his method. Whether there's enough shooting in there, if you're playing alongside Taron Armstrong and even Tajir McCall, Bull Quoll, his eyes should light up because he's just stand there, catch it and shoot it. Because these guys can find you. I thought last season Sam Wardenberg was one of my favourite players. Yeah. He was outstanding. You know how you see a guy, you just go, geez, I'd love to have him on my team. Mm-hmm. So I think if he continues to improve on what he did last season, a bit more responsibility, that energy, that grunt that he brings, and then it comes down to what you can get out of some of these guys that you mentioned, like Jonah Antonio, can he come in and be that microwave off the bench? Lat Mayen, played at Bendigo, saw a lot of him this season. Got good upside, but he's got to go to another level. Whether or not 40 can get that with the system that he puts in place is going to be the big question. On paper, you look at this, and this is not going to be in your top 4 or 5 teams that you're going to pick. If you had a choice, if Simon is there as the recent coach, and you on paper put all these teams up, which one do you want to? I don't know if this team's not in your top 4 or 5 that you're going to pick.
Okay.
Gaze,
But-
slams, Taipans.
No, not at all. But the thing about it is that there is upside. If you look at this and you see 40's record,
Yes.
and you see what he can get out of the resources he has available, absolutely. But if you're going in there looking for your best option, that's just the reality of it. Now, it might change with another superstar. As another superstar comes in there, like you mentioned.
I don't think they're looking to bring in a superstar,
Right.
but a big, solid grunt guy up.
Some of
front.
those kids could do with some muscle around them, I think.
Yeah.
It's up front. Clintman's not a big body guy at all, right? He's 6'10".
Yeah,
but
I mean, he's not a bully.
He's not. Sam's not a big frame, but Meninga's a kid, and Drewy was loving Davidson before, but he's a bit harsh on him now. and a Calder Gack
It
is
comes and goes. You see.
Calder Gack
Changes like the weather, really.
No, I'm loving.
Look, again, there's an import to fit in here.
Yeah.
Drewy says Lat Mayen needs a little bit of time, maybe to ferment. I'm in agreement with that. Having watched a little bit of Bendigo this year, and then with Bobby being the backup at the 4 spot, I mean, I think they need a little bit of size, both at that 3 and 4/5 spot. I'm not sure where they go with that import.
I reckon Bobby Clintman is a bit of a swing guy for this squad because now we've only just seen flashes of him at Wake
I
Forest.
believe that you're trying to pump up.
Hold on. Just let me just.
Hey, all I say this.
Did he reject Davidson in his offers back in the
No,
college?
I'll say this.
Come with me.
There is no greater interest than self-interest. So
No, just-
we always got to put an asterisk next to it. Anything that's got the NS next to it.
No, well, that is true.
And Liam is talking.
So you've got him starting,
I
Liam.
thought,
Is that what you're telling
I
us?
might just have been able to dive in there under the radar, but it turns out that's not the case. Come with me, though,
Yeah, I'm with you.
because late in the season there in the ACC, Clintman came in, played big minutes, and did some really interesting things. And he tested the waters in the 2023 NBA draft, but he has the potential to be a lottery pick in 2024. He has that kind of upside. 6'10", can do all kinds of things, can rip it off the defensive glass, push it in transition. Think a kind of a DJ Hogue type in that you can play him at power forward,
Shoot it.
but he can do a bit of everything. You don't mind slapping on a ball screen for him either and letting him operate out of that and find guys looking over the top. So a lineup that where you have a closing lineup where you have Wardenberg at the 5, Clintman at the 4, and then have some fun at those other 3 spots. If Bobby can come in and get acclimated and really be his best self, he's going to be a really fun piece for Adam Ford.
They might very well be the greatest unknown of NBL 24, the Cairns Taipans. We shall have to
Tell
wait
you what,
and
if
see.
I was at Vegas, I'd be signing up for the Next Stars after listening to it.
I need you as my agent.
Let's
I
go.
think you're far too good at this stuff.
Let's go.
Thanks for being with us once again on the Marketplace, our roundtable specials. Our third and final episode, we'll take a look at the Brisbane Bullets, the New Zealand Breakers, who have landed a couple of big blows in the last couple of weeks, and Melbourne United and the return of Matthew Dellavedova. Until next time, thanks for being with us on the Marketplace.